and mobile applications. We've had plenty of talk and discussion going on around that particular theme. And as we come to the end of it, mine is very brief, just to help us recall what it is that we have been talking about, and therefore what do we carry away with us, and what do we do with what we have gathered and gained in the 2 days we have been around. So one of those things that really came out strongly in the conversations we have had over the 2 days is about e-learning being a critical tool for enhancing the quality of teaching and learning. Gone are the days when I want to believe 3/4 of us in this room, if not all, are university professors. And so gone are those days when we have been accused of yellow notes. Yeah? The yellow notes should be a thing of the past from now henceforth, because we have been told the critical role e-learning plays, and therefore let's embrace it to improve the quality of what we know best, which is the teaching part of it, and helping our students learn. Another aspect that came out that strongly was the fact that e-learning does not replace the teacher, but it equips him or her with a very powerful tool to improve student learning. Perhaps if in our minds we were that scared and feeling that we will soon be declared redundant and that we are going to join those on the job market in search of jobs, I think our 2 days interaction here has assured us that with e-learning, we are not losing our jobs, but we are being assisted to do what we know how to do better. Let's not forget, and borrowing from one of the keynote speakers who said, that client we call our student is now everywhere. And so we cannot continue to operate in silos and limit ourselves to those institutions we know. Let's go out there and embrace every other interested learner there might be in whichever way we can. But one of the powerful ways to do that is through e-learning. Listening to the government representatives talk yesterday, I think it also came out clearly that for us here in Kenya, the government is now committed to promoting ICT education by expanding the broadband available to Kenyans. Are there any Kenyans in this room? Are we there? Are we proud of that? Yes. Therefore, if from now henceforth we are not making good use of e-learning, we have ourselves to blame. Someone talking about change management says change management is always successful when led from the top. And here we are in that situation in this country where the government itself, from the top leadership, is committed to giving us that opportunity. Let's go ahead and embrace it. Also, in the conversations, it was observed that lecturers, teachers need to be properly trained to design and deliver high-quality online or blended programs. And again, one of the keynote speakers said, having taught for so many years, he decided now he needed to go back and learn and unlearn, yeah? And the choice of what he was going back to learn and unlearn was technology and e-learning. And to his surprise, one of his students, or former students, was the one now beginning to help him understand what this technology is and how he can make good use of it in the classroom and whatever else he does. So, my friends, my learned friends, as the lawyers call themselves, I'm calling you so from the academic frontier, let's go out there and try as hard as we can to unlearn what we learned that was in itself not beneficial to us. Yes, we talk about USIU, KU, Strathmore, Moi, Inorero, and whatever it is. We operate in silos. The last 2 days, we have been reminded that collaboration between universities locally and abroad can enhance the exchange of expertise to promote e-learning. Have you grabbed any contact information of anyone who is not from a Kenyan university? Have you? Are you just going to sit or keep that contact information? The challenges include power outages, poor internet connectivity, lack of computers, poor attitude, etc. Kenyans, do we identify with those? Do we suffer power outages? We do? Maybe the US would be surprised when we talk about power outages. Penina, in Canada, is there anything to do with power outages? No. Yeah. So yes, we know those are some of the challenges that we are having to operate within. But the moment you take a challenge and you begin to tell yourself, it is not doable, it can't be done, then you have defeated the good purpose for e-learning. So what do we do about those challenges? We have known what they are. It is now our task and responsibility to take those challenges head on. Yeah? I believe in this room we know the sun is available 24/7 in this country. Would that be an alternative to the power outage? But it all starts with your attitude. So what's your attitude towards e-learning? Yeah? So the moment you have a change of attitude and you're beginning to think differently, these challenges then will also be a thing of the past. In the 2 days, we have also observed that technology should be adapted to make it culturally relevant. I felt ashamed because I can hardly teach in my mother tongue. I don't know about you. Yeah? I felt ashamed because I can hardly relate what I teach to my immediate environment. I think that is a challenge to all of us, and we are taking it in our stride, that whereas we are going to embrace a lot of e-learning perspectives from the outside world, let us go on and make it relevant to our own contexts down here. That way we will be enhancing learning, and we can do this very easily through e-learning. E-learning should be guided by frameworks that promote student-centered learning. Let's not walk into those classrooms as we have done before, telling ourselves we know it all, and therefore we are having to pass it from our heads into the students' heads. Yeah? Let's have those sessions where, as told by one of the speakers, let's challenge our students to learn. I think one of them gave an example of his own son, yeah, who, when he's told, now you're going to be Abraham Lincoln, takes it upon himself to find out about Abraham Lincoln. And the way he does that is the internet, which is part of this e-learning that we are talking about. So when we begin to challenge our students, then, as I heard on the floor, one of the questions being, what do we do when a lot of us, therefore, emphasize the passing of exams, and therefore we go into pass it from our heads into the heads of the students, and we expect that back. One of the speakers was clear. There are many ways of testing these students. So it is our responsibility, therefore, to develop those frameworks that will make learning more student-centered than teacher-centered. And as I come to the end of it, just some food for thought and 2 questions that I'm going to pose. 1, what kind of society do we want? Not to answer now, but to walk away with. Secondly, what kind of education do we want to meet our current and future needs?
One of the things that I'll tell you, my company, EAIEC, champions the development of or adoption of ICTs in various aspects of the economy. And we have a passion with technology that enhance the delivery of education, especially e-learning. And bringing you to what we've done in e-learning, we have been involved in various ways. We once held an event that was promoting e-learning by bringing together various stakeholders. That was back in 2010. We had a couple of partners. We had Cisco, we had Smoothtel, we had the Ministry of Education, we had KIE. We had quite a number of partners who came and graced that occasion. And also we had telecom service providers who are also promoting this event. And we felt like we would play our role in advancing e-learning by hosting these events. As an events organizer, our main role is to connect people. We know people who have some knowledge that other people want to know, and especially for e-learning. So we work with major companies that are spearheading, of course, the development of e-learning platforms, content, and any other platform and solutions that promote the advancement of learning. So that's basically, in a nutshell, the reason why we felt it is important to be part of this event, to borrow into our pool of contacts who we know, and to assist the organizers of this event reach their objective, which was to bring all stakeholders together. I think this is normally with events. First of all, the timelines we had to promote this event. And again, we had also issues with other events that were happening, not similar to this one, but had a leaning onto e-learning or education. That also affected quite a number of our plans in terms of the number of participants we wanted to target. And again, as the lack of commitment probably by the education sector, especially because there was a strike going on. So there was no focus on anything else but the teachers, and the whole education was sort of in a kind of go slow. Therefore, that one affected the numbers. But the content of the event, the objective of the event, is very critical to the development of e-learning in this country or in the region. There are quite a number of success stories that we've been able to identify or to see. And one of them is seeing a pool of academia from over 10 countries coming together to share knowledge and best practices in terms of e-learning. And again, looking at diversified approach to e-learning, quite a number of case studies coming from every region, and people sitting together in breakout sessions and discussing particular aspects of e-learning innovations, talent, and capacity building. So quite a number of things that have happened in this event, and I'm very glad and I'm very excited to be part of this event. I would like to congratulate the organizers, two ladies who really gave all to make sure that this event happens, Dr. Penina and Lydia. And we are very excited because this is an inaugural event. And with this foundation, we seem to, there is likelihood, we are very confident that this event will grow to be a major flagship event for the region.
Talents Coaching and Consulting is an organization that I'm pleased to be affiliated with, in that actually I have also worked with in the last 5 years, in addition to being an educator at within the higher education sector. And Talents specifically focuses on providing services that brings excellence and enhances e-learning and blended learning initiatives. And it's really the only provider of such services within East Africa that we know of, and even in Africa. And we specifically provide the providers of education or training with coaching related services, so that we help them with the transition through change management services, in order for them to determine what kind of policy implementations, what kind of changes they would need to make, or adjustments in the current offerings, so that then they're ready and well equipped for e-learning. The theme of 2013 conference is advancing human capital through e-learning and mobile learning applications. And the essence of it is really because I have been in this field since 2001. And I have been trying in many ways to work with organizations, including institutions here in Kenya, to bring forth the research and the practical examples within that relate to distance education, generally speaking, and e-learning in particular. And so over the years, I've noticed really the need to bring Kenyan and other African educators and researchers and practitioners together, so that we can have an opportunity not only for networking, but also to build our own learning community that is authentic to the needs and the opportunities that exist specifically in Africa, that they can then take on, share the challenges, share the opportunities, share their best practices, and that's really what this event is all about. And so bringing together those key stakeholders, the innovators, the educators, the leaders within institutions, from corporate to non-profit to educational sector, bringing them together. And that's really what the objective of this conference were. I would say from an organization standpoint that being the organizer, that this was a great event in that the stakeholders of e-learning chose to come to attend. And that's one indicator, because they find the value in identifying with the objectives of the conference, to get to meet one another and discuss what they're doing. So we've had lots of showcases about programs and courses in the various institutions. And so providing that platform is, I would say, one of the things that have made me really pleased about the last 4 days during the pre-conference and the conference. The other area is definitely the great turnout, given that this was our inaugural event, and also the enthusiasm that people have shown in getting involved in the next year's conference in 2014. I'd actually say that given to some extent the newness of a lot of the players and participants who are here today, most of them are really in the initial stages of their planning their programs or offering something. And yet the turnout, we have people from some institutions, about 9 or 10 of them presented here. So teams of stakeholders were present, and so that enthusiasm, we've seen it really throughout, from the time we had the call for abstracts for people to submit so that they can come to present their work. We've seen the same level of enthusiasm in people wanting to partner with us. And obviously, given that this is, again, our inaugural event, I think we find that people are really keen to engage, people are keen to collaborate. And as you can see, even from the government perspective, we had the key representation here yesterday from the public service and from the ICT cabinet, with this, Dr. Matiang'i being here and Professor Margaret Kobia being present, and the other keynote speakers you've witnessed. I think that speaks to the level of interest in this topic, and even more so when you look at the delegates themselves, with people here from, I would say, 11 now different countries internationally. That speaks to the level of interest in the topic or the subject of e-learning and mobile learning. This is just the beginning. Given the learnings we've had from this year and all the feedback we have received, we're going to integrate that into the next year's conference. The plan is to work with the stakeholders who are already keen to engage, whether be it in their institutions, in smaller settings, could be workshops, it could be through, we're planning on launching a series of webinars in the fall, so that there's a continuity between this conference and the next conference. And also we already have dates planned for 2014. So that will, again, key placeholder in people's minds is July, and the last week of July, and that will be 28th to the 31st of August in 2014. And the other opportunity is also around working with various institutions in the course of that year, and our staff who are on the ground will continue to do that work. First of all, I have learned about the level of interest in what the opportunities that e-learning can offer. I had a sense of that, but I did not have the sense of the depth of how organizations and people who are present here, how keen they are to engage and to really take e-learning to the next level. And we're seeing very many examples of that as we listen into the presentations. So that has been cemented for me through this forum. The other key element that I've seen is and learned from is the idea of a learning community for people within Kenya and internationally who really want to join forces and collaborate on projects. I've heard many requests. I've had those conversations not only to me, but listening into other people, the idea of wanting to work together. And that's a key element of learning for me. And obviously then the next thing is we've got to keep our eyes and ears on the ground to listen into what are the knowledge and skill gaps that exist, and so that through this conference and other opportunities, then we can be able to address those knowledge gaps. One of the organizers of this conference, the 2013 E-Learning Innovations Conference, was Talents Coaching and Consulting, along with a partnership with the Public Service Commission here in Kenya. And I'm very proud to be affiliated with the Talents organization as a coach and as a consultant. To speak briefly about that organization, Talents is really a team of educators and professionals within the field of e-learning, and they're specifically trained organizational design consultants who provide coaching services related to change management that is essential when you incorporate e-learning and blended learning initiatives. The other element is around conferencing, providing conferencing opportunities to bring people together to discuss issues pertaining to e-learning, and also to work with institutions that are seeking content development. And so in my role as a talents coach, I'm really pleased that we made the opportunity to bring such a diverse group of people together to discuss lots of the latest innovations related to e-learning. My other role with regard to my professional work is as the director of the School of Graduate Studies at Queen's University, that's in Canada. And also I'm really pleased to be able to be here to represent that institution and the great work we do as we embrace various opportunities to expand higher education, and of which e-learning is one of them.
Well, Kitabu is a Kenyan company, and we are a software company that work on the development of software for the distribution of e-learning content. What that basically means, it's a software application that helps publishers deliver content to end users. What Kitabu has been doing over the last 2.5 years is we've been fine-tuning the applications that were in the market and that we created individually ourselves to bring together a product that caters specifically for the developing country, such as Kenya, that is on the verge of exploding technologically, and making sure that the content that we are delivering to the end user is appropriate, it's convenient, it is easy to access, and it is meaningful for the end user. And that's what we've been doing. E-learning is a new thing. It's a new thing not because people don't know what e-learning is. It's a new thing because its application in Africa and in Kenya is extremely new. Apart from the Amazon Kindles and the iPads that have been in the States and in other parts of Asia, no one has really broken the African market, mostly because they don't understand it. So when we found an opportunity to partner in e-learning here, we thought it makes sense for us to come and be able to introduce the way e-learning could work in Kenya and in Africa, and hopefully also in places like India and Brazil and the likes. And so partnering here was a first step for us in getting into what we think is a global academic e-learning environment. There's a lot of technical know-how in the market, which we understand, but the gap between the technical creators, or the techies as we call them, and the academics who are mostly at a conference like this is very rare. It's hard for us to have that synergy. So being one of the sponsors basically says to this community, As techies, we are interested in engaging you. We're interested in showing you what we have created, and we would like to get your feedback from a more research-oriented or more academic perspective. We are humbled by the awards. We've won Pivot East. We won Pivot East about a month and a half ago in Uganda, it's the premier mobile applications competition in the region, which is very nice of them. We also